For context, I, 36 female, was married to my late husband, Alex, 38 male, for 10 years. We met in our mid-20s, fell in love, and had what I thought was a happy marriage, despite one major complication: his mother, Carla, 65 female. From the beginning, Carla made it clear that I wasn't the right woman for her son. When Alex introduced me to his family, Carla was polite but cold. She never made an effort to get to know me, and over time, her subtle disapproval turned into blatant hostility. What made everything worse was Alex's ex-girlfriend, Lily, 37 female. According to Carla, Lily was the perfect woman: beautiful, educated, wealthy, and most importantly, someone who had Carla's approval. Alex had dated Lily for a few years before meeting me, but by the time I came into the picture, their relationship was long over. Despite that, Carla never let go of the idea that Lily was the one who should have married Alex. Carla would constantly bring Lily up in conversations, always comparing me to her. If I cooked dinner, Carla would say something like, "Lily used to make the best roast. Alex really loved it." If I wore a nice dress to a family gathering, Carla would say, "Lily has that exact same dress in a different color. She always looks stunning in it." At first, I tried to ignore these comments. I didn't want to cause drama, and I figured she would eventually get over it. But it only got worse. Carla started inviting Lily to every family event, birthdays, holidays, even casual Sunday dinners. It was so uncomfortable. Every time I showed up at a family event, there she was, sitting next to Carla, smiling as if she were still part of the family. Alex would try to reassure me that it meant nothing, that Lily and his mom were just good friends. But it was clear to me that Carla was using Lily to make a point, that Alex had chosen the wrong woman. Lily, for her part, seemed to relish the attention. She was always polite, never outwardly rude, but there was this smugness about her, like she knew Carla favored her over me. At times, I wondered if she were waiting for Alex to leave me and get back with her. Carla would gush over how wonderful Lily was, how much she missed her being part of the family, and how lucky Alex was to have had her in his life. It was like a constant reminder that, in Carla's eyes, I wasn't good enough. The worst part was that Carla would openly criticize me in front of Lily. She'd say things like, "It's such a shame you don't have children yet. Alex would make such a great father, and I know Lily always wanted kids." Or, "You should really think about dressing more professionally, like Lily does. She's always so well put together." It was infuriating. But I bit my tongue for years because I didn't want to cause a rift between Alex and his mom. I tried talking to Alex about it multiple times. He was a good husband, and I know he loved me, but he was also a bit of a mama's boy. He would always defend Carla, saying that she didn't mean any harm and that I was overreacting. He insisted that Lily wasn't a threat and that I had nothing to worry about. It was hard for him to see how much this constant comparison to Lily was affecting me. Eventually, I started avoiding family events altogether. It just wasn't worth the stress. Every time I skipped a gathering, Carla would make passive-aggressive comments about how I was too busy to spend time with the family, or she'd imply that I didn't care about maintaining a relationship with Alex's side of the family. It was a no-win situation. If I went, I had to endure Lily and Carla's behavior. If I didn't go, I was the bad guy for isolating Alex from his family. Then, 2 years ago, tragedy struck. Alex passed away suddenly from a heart attack. It was the most devastating moment of my life. I was heartbroken, and I felt like my world had come crashing down. I couldn't imagine life without him. In the weeks following his death, I was overwhelmed with grief, and the last thing I wanted to deal with was Carla. But, of course, she made everything about herself. At Alex's funeral, Carla spent the entire time clinging to Lily. She barely acknowledged me, and acted like I was a guest at my own husband's memorial. She even made a comment to one of her friends about how it should have been Lily standing up there as his widow. I couldn't believe the audacity. I was too emotionally drained to confront her at the time, but that comment stuck with me. After Alex's death, I inherited the house we lived in. Alex had owned it before we got married, but it was in both of our names by the time he passed. What complicated things was that Carla had been living in the guest house on the property for the past few years. When she had some financial troubles, Alex had invited her to move in, and I had begrudgingly agreed. Now, with Alex gone, I was left with the house and Carla. In the months after his death, Carla's behavior only got worse. She became even more controlling and overbearing. She acted like the house was hers, redecorating parts of it without asking, moving my things around, and making decisions about the property as if she owned it. I tried to set boundaries, but she always played the grieving mother card, making me feel guilty for trying to assert any control over my own home. Then, one day, I overheard Carla talking to Lily on the phone. She was complaining about me, saying I was keeping her trapped in the guest house, and that if Alex had married Lily, she would never have had to deal with such disrespect. She said that she wished I would just disappear, so she could live in peace. That was the final straw. It was like all the anger and frustration I had bottled up over the years suddenly exploded. I realized I didn't have to put up with her anymore. This was my house now, not hers. I had let her walk all over me for too long, and I was done. So I confronted Carla. I told her that I knew she had always hated me, and that I was tired of her treating me like an outsider in my own home. I told her that if she loved Lily so much, she should go live with her. I said I wanted her out of the house immediately. Carla was shocked. She tried to guilt trip me, saying that Alex would have never wanted me to kick her out and that I was being heartless. But I didn't care anymore. I was done trying to keep the peace. I gave her 30 days to move out. She cried, screamed, and called me every name in the book. She even threatened to take legal action, but she had no grounds to do so. The house was legally mine, and there was no lease or agreement that entitled her to stay. She eventually packed up her things and left, but not without making a huge scene. Since then, Carla has been telling everyone in the family that I'm a cruel, heartless woman who kicked out a grieving mother. She's even told people that Alex would be ashamed of me. I've had several family members reach out, saying that I went too far and that I should have let Carla stay, at least for a while longer. They think I was being petty and vindictive by telling her to go live with Lily. But I feel like I finally stood up for myself after years of being mistreated. It's my house, and I don't think I should have to live with someone who has always hated me and made my life miserable. Now I'm starting to question if I did the right thing. Did I go too far by kicking Carla out and telling her to go live with my husband's ex? Should I have handled things differently, or was I justified in standing up for myself after everything she put me through? Not the a-hole. You endured years of emotional aggression from your mother-in-law and her weird obsession with your husband's ex. Kicking her out was 100% justified. You don't owe her anything, especially after the way she treated you at your husband's funeral. She made her bed, and now she can go lie in it. And if Lily was so perfect, let her deal with Carla. Wow, your mother-in-law sounds incredibly toxic. It's amazing you put up with her for as long as you did. Not the a-hole, not even close. You did what was necessary for your own mental health. It's your house, and you shouldn't have to live with someone who disrespects you so blatantly. Good for you for standing up for yourself. I can't believe she invited your husband's ex to your family events. That's beyond disrespectful. You're definitely not the a-hole. You let her stay for too long, and it sounds like you were way more patient than most people would have been. Kicking her out and telling her to go live with Lily? That was perfect. She deserved it after everything she put you through. My husband and I have been married for 8 years. We very much wanted children, but unfortunately found out that I'm simply unable to have them. To put it simply, my eggs just aren't viable. I went through several rounds of various fertility treatments, including IVF, but nothing ever worked. We officially stopped trying this year. It's been a really difficult thing for us to go through, between the expenses of the tests and procedures and the physical and emotional toll. We didn't really tell many people about it, especially my in-laws, because my mother-in-law is extremely gossipy and is absolutely awful at being supportive when it comes to things like that. She would have made my infertility into a 3-ring circus that revolved only around her feelings. So we opted to not tell them to preserve our own sanity and my emotional well-being. Dear husband's oldest sister is currently living with their parents after her divorce. I hadn't much interaction with her prior to her moving back home, because she lived on the other side of the country, and she had never really come home to visit the entire time I've been with my husband. She has a lot of issues with boundaries, between asking extremely intrusive questions and just being very physically touchy-feely, so it's been a bit tense at times. We've had my in-laws over to the house a few times over the past year, including sister-in-law. Last time she was here, I thought perhaps she'd gone into our bedroom, because after they left, I noticed our door was slightly ajar. Nothing in the bedroom seemed disturbed, so I assumed she just peeked inside and then left it alone. I had a full pile of copies of all the tests and stuff from the fertility clinic inside the bottom drawer of my armoire. Thursday night, we had dinner with my in-laws at their house to celebrate my brother-in-law's birthday. During dinner, the subject turned to babies. Brother-in-law's wife is pregnant with their second, and sister-in-law blurted out, "So when are you guys going to share the news?" Dear husband and I sort of looked blankly at her, and she said, "That Snoopy sister-in-law throw is pregnant. I saw the ultrasound picture." The only place I have an ultrasound picture is in that file in our bedroom. During treatments, they took ultrasounds on a weekly basis, and I had a couple of printouts from those. Since I was never pregnant, the ultrasounds only show my empty uterus. They're also the first things in the file, which tells me sister-in-law didn't read any of the other stuff in there. I guess sister-in-law couldn't really tell the difference between an ultrasound showing a developing fetus and an ultrasound that showed, well, nothing, and made the assumption that I'm pregnant. Of course, mother-in-law and father-in-law start getting excited. Brother-in-law and his wife start congratulating us, and dear husband and I are just sitting there absolutely stunned. I said that I wasn't pregnant, hadn't ever been pregnant, and that the ultrasound was from an unrelated medical test to check for something. Dear husband ended up absolutely losing it on his sister right there at the table, because he knew she only could have found the pic by snooping through the armoire. She started defending herself because we never tell her anything and didn't give her a full tour of the house ever. Apparently, showing her the common areas of the house wasn't good enough, and she hadn't meant to snoop but was trying to find more hand towels. BS. The bathroom is always well stocked with hand towels any time they visit. The night ended with sister-in-law leaving the dining room and going to her bedroom in tears. Mother-in-law and father-in-law making lame excuses for her and trying to justify her snooping, and brother-in-law and his wife being absolutely mortified. We ended up leaving abruptly after that because mother-in-law decided to start trying to pry into my medical tests. We had previously invited them all over for a Christmas Eve dinner, and dear husband called them yesterday and told them that it's canceled, and that he wants an apology from sister-in-law. Sister-in-law is refusing and is instead posting crap on Facebook about how family always forgives without needing apologies, and that she's being punished for just wanting to know her family better. Mother-in-law is still defending sister-in-law because sister-in-law just doesn't know better and didn't mean any harm. Father-in-law refuses to get involved. It's basically a giant mess. Today, dear husband got a call from his aunt, who told him he needs to just forgive and forget because sister-in-law had a really hard time in the divorce, and it's not fair to punish her and mother-in-law and father-in-law by canceling Christmas Eve dinner. Since she knows, that means mother-in-law has most likely talked to her, and now the story of my ultrasound pic is doubtlessly spreading through the family and creating new rumors, speculation. How in the hell do we handle this? Let your husband handle this, in consultation with you. It seems he has already chosen a path with his family of birth, and is supporting the family you and him have created. The sister-in-law overstepped every common courtesy required of a guest, and your husband's parents have chosen her over him. Enjoy your Christmas together, and let them stew. Not to be rude, but duck her. I am so sorry you've been through all of this. It must have been incredibly hard to have to accept that things just aren't working out the way you want. If I was you, I'd never let your sister-in-law into my life again. What she did was so out of line for a child to do, let alone a grown woman. Don't give in. You've done nothing wrong. Do your own thing for Christmas. Make yourself unavailable. Your sister-in-law is 43 years old, not 13. She knows exactly what she was doing snooping in your drawers was wrong, whether or not she is suffering after a divorce. I can't believe how many boundaries were breached here. Even if you were pregnant, who does she think she is sharing anything about you to the family? I'm so angry and shocked on your behalf, OP. I'm so sorry you and your dear husband have to go through this, on top of your personal medical issues. I agree with others that you're doing exactly the right thing. Christmas Eve is canceled, and dear husband can remain the one who contacts his family, if that's what he chooses to do. Keep your dignity and stick to your silence and response. Don't feel pressured to forgive and forget, certainly not unless you choose to, and your sister-in-law has wholeheartedly and genuinely acknowledges her mistakes and apologizes. Ugh, people. Husband and I adopted our daughters, biologically my nieces, when one was a toddler and the other a small baby, after my sister died suddenly driving drunk and on drugs. My sister had a lot of problems, and she wouldn't know where to start with knowing who either child's biological father is. My husband and I are infertile and desperately wanted children and were considering IVF, so we're more than happy to take the children in, and we have raised them as our own. Chloe is a high school senior graduating in a few weeks. Maddie is a sophomore. Neither of them look like my sister, our family, so I am guessing they look like their biological fathers. They have very different looks. Chloe is extremely conventionally attractive, tall, very thin, straight blonde, and fair-skinned. Very pretty face, and eats what she wants without gaining weight, and stays skinny without working out much. Maddie also has a beautiful face, but she is short to average in terms of height, and naturally quite curvy. She's half Latina from her biological father. We don't know what country, but she is definitely half Latina, and she has the hips and the butt and the wild hair. She's never going to have her sister's body type, which happens to be the body type held up as the idea in our culture. She has actually been treated for an eating disorder trying to lose weight to look more like her sister. This is relevant, I swear. You're about to hear why. Since I adopted and raised the girls as my own, my brother wanted to do something for his nieces. He has never wanted his own children, but loves the girls very much. Unbeknownst to me, he put away money for their college education since the time we took them in. Both girls want to attend a school in our state system. They want to go to different ones, but the cost will be fairly similar. We are in a state where there aren't really cheap options, like my middle-of-nowhere home state, and even state schools will cost over $20,000 a year with everything considered. There is no college where we live. Chloe was discovered in a shopping mall a few years ago by a modeling scout and offered modeling work. We allowed her to take it on the provision that all the money be saved for college. There is enough in the account she'll be able to pay for everything for college on her own, with a decent amount left over. There is no chance for Maddie to be able to make that kind of money as a model and save that sort of money herself. The amount of money my brother has can pay everything for one of them, or half of the expenses for each. My husband and I are divided on how it should be split. We both want to be fair and equitable, but we have different views on how that is best achieved. He believes the way to be equal is to split it straight down the middle. I think the most equitable approach is to allow them both to be able to graduate with a college degree without debt, and we should give it to Maddie. I might feel differently if Maddie had the same opportunity to earn money in the way Chloe has and simply chose not to work, but the harsh reality is that she doesn't. She could go and get a job at the mall or something, but it would take her months to earn what Chloe makes from 1 or 2 jobs. I think she is better off concentrating on school and extracurriculars to get into the school she wants to get into and possibly earn scholarship money. She currently has a 4.0 GPA and works hard academically. I'm also aware of the fact that Maddie is at a sensitive age when it comes to body image and self-esteem. School is hell for her right now. It hasn't been easy for her, and I know she struggles with feelings like the ugly duckling. A lot of things to that accord have been said to her at school because teenagers are vicious and cruel. She's also been dealing with a lot of racism at school because she is Latina, ever since the rise of Trump. She's been getting all sorts of, "You're gonna get deported when the wall goes up" comments, and along with other Latina students, even notes saying "duck off home" explicative, shoved in her locker the day after Trump won. I know that life is not always fair, and that life will always be kinder to the conventionally attractive, and that's something Maddie will have to get used to. I feel like splitting the money equally will leave Maddie basically thinking, "So I graduated in debt for not being tall and skinny like Chloe is." For the record, Maddie has never been nasty or mean or bitter to Chloe about her looks and her modeling success. She's just said before that she wishes she looked more like her because she feels fat and ugly next to her. And she'd complain when she got dragged along in the car for the day while Chloe was doing a job, before Chloe was old enough to drive herself there in the spare car. But that's pretty normal 10 to 13-year-old behavior. I can't hold it against her. My husband thinks I'm being too emotive and thinks I'm not being equal to Chloe. I think that being equitable doesn't necessarily mean being black and white equal, and this is a situation of what is equitable. Chloe doesn't need the money to graduate debt-free. Maddie does. The extra money will just be spring break money to Chloe, but will mean Maddie needs to take out student loans, which are financially crippling. Maddie doesn't have the opportunity to earn the money Chloe has for a reason completely beyond her control. So I think it is equitable to give both girls the chance to graduate debt-free. Chloe gets the opportunity by winning the DNA lottery and being able to model. Maddie gets the opportunity because of her uncle's kindness. Am I wrong? Who is right? Broadly, I agree that equity does not equal perfectly the same, and Maddie should get the bulk of the aid, especially since Chloe already agreed to use her modeling money for college. However, I also think Chloe should get some personal enjoyment of her earnings, since she did the right thing and saved up. Perhaps there's a middle ground. Perhaps the money could be split 80-20. Maddie has to work or take loans, just like Chloe, but not to a particularly erroneous level. And that level also takes account of her reduced earning capacity compared to Chloe. Chloe gets a bonus that means she can enjoy her breaks more, as she should. After all, she's been working since she was 14 or 15. I also agree you should talk this over as a group with both girls. I am a month away from my wedding to my soon-to-be husband. We've been together for 5 years. My sister-in-law is one of those vegan stereotypes. I grew up in a very insulated community that leans towards vegan-vegetarian, that sister-in-law is not a part of, and have always ensured that she has had uncontaminated, tasty vegan options because I knew how much it sucked not having those when I adhered. Since my wedding will be including some of the people from the religious community I grew up in, I have 2 vegan options on the menu, as well as several vegan-friendly hors d'oeuvres that will be marked. This is apparently not good enough for my sister-in-law. When we personally gave her the invitation, she actually started yelling at us for daring to have meat at our reception when so many of her kind are present. Sister-in-law doesn't understand the community I grew up in, and the fact they have similar dietary choices doesn't make them her kind. They are very live and let live people, and they don't avoid leather, animal byproducts, and a lot of them also consume everything but certain fish and pork. I attempted to explain it to her, but she absolutely didn't want to hear it, stating I was being offensive to her and everyone present. She is my in-law's spoiled child, and she is used to getting her way on everything. Not this time. I refused to cave, as did my husband. So now, sister-in-law is badgering my in-laws. She has been hounding them relentlessly about even attending, despite the fact that they aren't vegan either. They even got to the point of attempting to bribe me by offering to pay for the wedding, assuming we had done it under great financial strain. The rub is, I am an event planner by profession. I have planned and paid for this wedding in cash, no debt. I did it off-season on a tightly calculated budget. No one but my fiancé has contributed. I am having an expensive dream wedding on a shoestring budget because I used up favors and tapped connections, as well as turning it into a business thing. This literally isn't just my wedding. It's going to be documented for multiple websites, cement business connections, and will be examples in portfolios for jobs. My fiancé and I agreed that I can use this as a business opportunity, so he is on board with all of this, and it has saved us a great deal of money. So when offering to pay didn't work because I told them it was all paid for, they have said if I don't change the menu, they will not come as well, and my sister-in-law is threatening to make a scene. Everyone I am working with is prepared for this, and we have hired security and have shown them pictures of my sister-in-law. We have attempted to explain to my in-laws that this is also a business move. They told me that changing my menu wouldn't hurt. When I attempted to explain to them that the chef of the catering company hand-picked these dishes to show off his skills, they told me to just talk to him. He will understand. I eventually quit trying to explain and just started using no as a complete sentence. My significant other and I are tired of my sister-in-law doing these sort of antics, and he is to the point where he wants to cut her off, but he hesitates because he thinks he will have to cut his parents off too. This isn't the first time she has pulled something like this, such as when she announced her engagement at my engagement party, or when she called my mother a savage at my birthday party because my mother is Native American and teaches old-school cooking and leatherworking, using hide to tan, using all the parts of the animal, etc. Is there anything we can say to get through to my soon-to-be in-laws that between this not just being our wedding, but also a business thing, and my soon-to-be sister-in-law's antics, that we aren't going to tolerate any funny business? How can we tell them that we are almost done with my soon-to-be sister-in-law? She has been personally uninvited by my fiancé at this point, but it seems to have just fanned the flames. Your sister-in-law has been uninvited. Good move. So the issue is your in-laws. If they mention it, tell them, "We are sorry to hear that. We hope you can make it, but we understand if you can't." Don't pretend to give in to their nonsense. If they are determined to miss their child's wedding and give in to sister-in-law's tantrums, there's nothing you can do.